Let's go. 2 cup, please.
I've been a chef for over 50 years.
Service.
And I've come to realise that the food we eat tells a story about who we are. So I'm on a mission to find out what we all like to eat today.
Oh, that is good.
From our traditional dishes...
Long live the Yorkshire pudding.
...to those we've made our own.
I mean, that is multifaceted Britain on one page.
I'll meet producers...
There you see a robot. It's picking them.
I find a lot of craft beers too hoppy. Don't know why, but it tastes all right.
Some of our best chefs...
We're picking scurvy grass.
Crikey.
Pretty punchy.
...plus those keeping traditions alive.
We've just got to finish. I have no hope.
I'll see how food brings us together.
Dig in!
Lovely, that sort of hot garlic. Fabuloso.
And from my home in Padstow, I'll bring you great dishes of my own.
Love stuff like this.
So join me as I unearth the stories behind the food we all love to eat today.
There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover tomorrow. Just you wait and see.
Well, this is a bit special for me. I'm walking through the Dame Vera Lynn Down and thinking about Kent, the Garden of England. Fertile soil, sunny aspect, and close proximity to both the capital and the continent.
The ancient county of Kent is found in the far southeast of the UK, on the heel of Britain. It's England's oldest county, with some of our most magnificent castles and historic houses. King Henry VIII owned many homes here and loved the county so much that he called it the Garden of England. Today, Kent still lives up to that title with 10,000 commercial fruit crops, many of them growing hops for beer, pears, apples, and the vast majority of our homegrown cherries.
Kent produces 90% of all the cherries grown in England. It's down to the temperate climate and chalky soil, which produces the darkest, sweetest cherries.
One of Kent's biggest growers is here at Little Sharsted Farm, where they grow 40 hectares of cherries. That's the size of 74 football pitches.
Hello.
Morning, Rick.
Morning.
Welcome.
Sarah Neaves's family have been farming here for 4 generations, and I'm pleased to see she shares both my passion for cherries and hats.
I'm very much a lover of cherries, I have to say, Sarah. So this is like being a fox in the hen house, really, I have to say.
So this variety's Merchant.
Look at that.
A good old English variety.
Oh.
Aren't they lovely?
They're all right in a punnet, but seeing them on the tree in such a cluster.
And best way to eat a cherry is straight from the tree,
Oh,
I think.
gosh.
Shall I pick you one?
Oh,
What do you think?
juicy. They're soft and incredibly sweet.
You can't get a better taste than an English cherry, I think.
What makes Kent so special for fruit, and cherries in particular, though?
This area, obviously, we are very, very lucky in the fact that we've got this microclimate. Henry VIII came with his gardener after trying cherries in Flanders, and he wanted to grow them somewhere, and he thought bringing his gardener over to Kent. He found a place in Tenham. As a crow flies, it's about 2 miles from here, so he thought it was the best place to grow cherries, and it certainly was.
Well, I'm blowed. I mean, you think of Henry VIII as sort of disposing of his wives, getting rid of them, but actually he did quite a lot of good as well.
He certainly did. We would certainly not have had cherries in Kent if he hadn't have done that.
Cherries flourish here, but the crop can still be affected by the good old British weather.
This year is a very light crop.
Yeah.
We had some very bad northeasterly winds, and that's why we have these tunnels to protect. And we put those on in February.
Yeah.
And that protects from all weathers, the frost, the winds. And then, obviously, when the cherries are on the tree, we've got protection from the rain, because cherries don't like rain, they crack. It takes us all year to get here, And when it's here, it's hard work, but we all love it. It's our passion.
Can we see some picking?
Of course you can. Yes, let's go and see the pickers.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Sarah tells me it's a short, sharp picking season of just 8 weeks, all done by hand. An impressive 4 to 6 tons a day is harvested, and I'm surprised to see they still use some of the old techniques.
So this is the baskets,
Yeah.
the traditional wicker baskets that we pick into. The guys wear them round their waist. We feel it's better for the quality. They're not dropping it from a height, so they can put the fruit in a lot easier if they're up a ladder or on the ground. It's just so much better for the fruit.
Where are they all from?
So a lot of these are from Uzbekistan
Yeah.
and Moldova. We work 6 days a week. You know, they're very good workers. We have a lot of returnees, which is great, so they actually know what they're doing when they
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back. And then the new ones are trained by the ones that have come before, so it works perfectly.
I suppose I have to ask the question, but how come you don't get any English workers?
They don't want to. They don't want to pick cherries. I think short season, it's only a short season, so they don't want an 8-week job.
Yeah. Well, it's very, very heartening to know that people are still producing great produce on English soil.
The cherries picked on the farm are all processed on site. They're brought here to the cool house for stringent quality checks. They must be the right shade of red, which indicates ripeness. A sugar test is also run to check they have the correct sweetness. And finally, they have to meet a size set by the supermarkets. From farm to shelf takes between 36 to 48 hours. And I'm happy to tell you they're all sold in the UK. It all began in 1941 when Sarah's grandparents took charge of a small farm. Sarah tells me her first memory is picking cherries with her dad Brian, who's still involved in the farm today. As someone running my own family business with all the pleasures and pitfalls that involves, I'm keen to hear how Sarah and her family find working together.
Do you get on?
Sometimes.
Well, it's an obvious question, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, of course we get. We do get on. Yeah, most of the time. Yeah, we have to. You have to get on, don't you? I mean, we have our arguments, different ways of doing things, but
He normally
I
wins.
normally win.
Don't you think you ought to be handing over to the next generation then, Brian, or what?
No, because I've got to keep an eye on things. No, because I love it. I mean, they like me being round and sort of. When Father died, I said we've got to go forward, go forward.
Sarah's son Archie is the youngest to join the family as an apprentice.
What's it like for you, you know, joining this family business? I mean,
It's exciting. Obviously, farming is constantly changing, so it's something that's always going to change. All things are always new, so that's always keeps it fresh. Working with Grandad all the time, learning the old ways, trying to bring him into the new.
well, thank you very much for talking to me. And I just have to say, I think it's very nice to see a family working together so sort of happily, really. And one last thing, I like your hat.
And I like yours too. Good old traditional Panamas.
Best for the sun.
Absolutely.
I can't think of a better use for Sarah's cherries than whipping up some delicious red velvet, chocolate and cherry cupcakes. For the cake mixture, combine flour, cocoa powder, caster sugar and baking powder. Then pour in 3 beaten eggs, melted butter, red food colouring, buttermilk. And I always add vanilla extract as it enhances the flavour of the chocolate.
I am actually itching to taste this, but I'm not going to. Chocolate is a great weakness with me.
Pour into muffin cases and cook for 15 to 20 minutes. Now for the cherry compote. Start by pitting the cherries.
I have a history of cupcakes. I had this great idea when I was in Sydney about 20 years ago of launching a little cupcake company. Unfortunately, we didn't do terribly well with sales, and we didn't do terribly well with staff either. And I can recall at one stage actually going on the road myself, delivering cupcakes to this, actually turned out to be an English guy. He took one look at me and said, "What on earth are you doing? I only saw you on telly last week. Why are you delivering cupcakes?" Shortly after that, sadly, the cupcake business went bust. And that was the end of cupcakes to me. But I still have a weakness for them.
For the compote, mix the cherries with sugar.
I'm just going to cook them right down now. Note I've added no water to them, just using the liquid with the cherries. So that's now come down very nicely. Most of the water is boiled off, and that'll be really nice and sweet and concentrated. So we'll just leave that to cool down a little bit. Great.
Next, the chocolate ganache.
I'm using posh chocolate here. That's about 70% cocoa content. And I've got to add some cream to that. So I'm just going to take that to just under boiling. I'm interested in the word ganache. I looked it up. And ganache actually comes from Greek and then into Italian, gonaccia. And it means a jowl. I like it. I just find things like that just make cooking more fun if you know where it comes from.
Once the milk is good and hot, pour it onto the chocolate and give it a stir.
This wants to be quite runny, but not too runny, because it's going over the top of my red velvet cupcakes. OK.
Scoop out a couple of teaspoonfuls from the top of each cake to make room for the compote.
You can throw away what you're picking out if you like, or you could just eat it later with a cup of tea. It's up to you. Great. So now then, a little bit of cherry compote in each one. Probably have to go back on the road and start selling red velvet cherry cupcakes.
Cover with a generous dollop of that gorgeous gooey ganache. And the cherry on top is one of Kent's finest.
Let's see how it tastes. Oh, that's lovely. The tartness of the cherry compote and the creamy indulgence of the chocolate ganache, I think it's working really well. It's a very nice sort of counterpoint. So there's a sort of professional bit over. I just love a cupcake. I think whenever I eat cupcakes, I think, you know, it's party time.
I couldn't come to Kent without visiting perhaps one of its hippest spots, the seaside town of Margate. It's a magnet for trendy Londoners flocking to its art galleries, bars and restaurants, part of the cool Kent scene that is now thriving. In the past, Margate was a mecca for the bucket and spade brigade and was one of the first seaside resorts in the UK. Its sandy beaches, theatres and amusement parks drew a steady stream of visitors up until the 1970s. But as foreign travel became more popular, the town went into decline.
It's so nice to be back in Margate. I haven't been here for 20 years. But what I'm really liking about Margate this time is it's come back. I remember being here then and thinking what a lovely place, but how depressingly decrepit it was. We spent the night in a hotel around here, and in the morning I said to the chambermaid, there's been a tap dripping all night. And she said, I know, a lot of people say that. And to me, it symbolised the sort of really rather run-down state of the whole town. Now, it's it's sort of regenerated. It's so much more attractive, and you can see the way it always was attractive. But the reason that things are looking so optimistic is that the Turner contemporary. Turner was a great lover of Margate. Indeed, the Turner contemporary is built right on the site where his mistress, Sophia Booth, had her boarding house.
Turner is one of my favourite artists. He was incredibly prolific. He created over 20,000 drawings and paintings. Views from Margate Harbour feature in over 100.
And he felt that the seascape and the sky here was some of the best in all of Europe. And if you think of that famous painting of his, The Fighting Temeraire, there we've got this battleship from the Trafalgar being dragged up the Thames. But what makes it so special is this wonderful skyline. And I think sort of standing here with this big sky above me, I can really get what Turner felt about it.
As well as inspiring the likes of Turner, the seas which surround our British Isles have fundamentally shaped our cuisine. From the cockles, smoked kippers and jellied eels of bygone days to the popular fish I'm setting out from Ramsgate Harbour in search of today, known as the King of Soles.
Well, I love going on my fishing trips, but this one is particularly special because we're going for the fish that I think is possibly my favourite in the whole world, Dover sole. And the reason that sole were called Dover sole in the UK is because for a long time the biggest landings of sole came into Dover. Of course, the same fish is just called a sole in France or anywhere else and goes all the way down to the Mediterranean. But the reason I like it is because I think it's the perfect combination of texture and flavour.
Taking me out is local fisherman Tom Bennett. What's special about Tom is that he is one of a dwindling number of youngsters choosing to earn his living from the sea.
So you put the nets out, what's happening under the sea now then?
The sole nets have, we've put them out and they've drifted to the bottom and now they're ticking along the seabed, and so once they've done their distance we'll have them up.
I meet fishermen all the time who tell me not enough people are joining the industry, so I'm keen to know why Tom's decided to do so.
What does fishing mean to you then, Tom?
That's my life, it's everything. Yeah.
You're young, you're very enthusiastic. Why don't more young people like yourself get involved in fishing?
I think it's harder to get into nowadays.
Yeah.
But it started off with me, the love for it. It was never about the money, and it's the love for it. I started it from before I left school, so yeah, there's nothing else I want to do. So as it gets harder, you just got to stick at it.
I have to say, I am like Jonah, I guess. Whenever I go out fishing, nobody seems to catch anything, but I'm ever hopeful. Sometimes it works.
On board with Tom and I is Merlin Jackson, who fished these waters for 25 years and thinks the reason people are turning their backs on the job is it's just not profitable enough anymore.
Fishing is hard. Fishing is very hard. It's not just a physical job because you don't just put up with days like today. You'll put up with early mornings in winter and 2 a.m. starts and catching half a bucket of fish that's got no value. So you really have to want to do it.
When I left school, I'd be up here most nights of the week, school nights.
Really?
There'd be 8 boats on this little bit, catching between 20 and 30 stone of soles each boat every night.
20 or 30 stone?
Soles each boat, yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just being out on the ocean, rocking and rolling around a bit. It's sort of like, I just always find it very exhilarating, and it's just coming back from a day's fishing. You feel you've done something worthwhile.
We've been drifting the nets along the seabed for over an hour now. It's finally time to pull them in. And fingers crossed, I haven't brought bad luck.
There's your first sole, I think.
Yeah, Rick.
Oh, hooray! I just love watching fish coming in the nets. You never know what's going to come up. Not a lot of Dovers, but quite a few, quite small ones, a lot of dogfish and a lot of jellyfish.
On our way back to shore, Tom counts up the catch. It's days like today that make it a tough job.
There's a few, but nothing amazing.
So how come you're not keeping the dogfish then? Is there no money in them?
There's no market for them unless there's a whelking boat that wanted for bait. Yeah, whelk
Really?
bait, yeah. Other than that, no. That's worth keeping.
So who'll buy that then?
The chip shops should buy that.
It's really nice.
Yeah, you wouldn't want anything smaller than that, keeping it smaller than that.
I suppose the thing that I find a bit depressing is the amount of bycatch which has been thrown out. And I guess that's really just because we in this country don't revere certain fish. I mean, dogfish particularly, I find really good to eat, but they don't have any market. I think it's sort of in a way testimony, yeah, to the fact who we are. You know, I can't imagine in France all those fish would be thrown back because there'd be a market for them.
Speaking of the French, I've always thought our Gallic cousins are fantastic at cooking fish. They've so influenced how we do it over here that it feels only right to include a French recipe in this series.
Well, I'm going to show you how to make Dover sole à la meuniere today. The first thing I'm going to do is skin the Dover sole. You may never need to do that, but I'm going to show you anyway.
If you can't get Dover sole, use lemon sole instead, and you don't need to skin it. Start by trimming the fins with your nice sharp kitchen scissors. Make a tiny incision just behind the tail fin. Now get some salt on your hands. It's going to give you added grip. Then pull as hard as you can until you hear that very satisfying ripping sound.
There it goes. Turn it over and do the same. The thing about this particular Dover sole is very, very fresh, and it makes it harder to skin. But there we go. It's done. Now then, and I do enjoy it. The next thing is just to trim the tail slightly. And there we have it. So that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to season them now. So I'm using white pepper, which is a sort of traditional way of using. I normally use black. The reason for using white here, it just has a sort of slightly different flavour, and of course it doesn't show up on the fried fish.
For the coating, add some flour to a flat tray and cover both sides of the fish.
This way of cooking Dover sole is called Dover sole à la meuniere. It's Dover sole in the style of the miller's wife. And if you've been into a flour mill normally, there's flour everywhere, in the air and over all the surfaces. So I think the idea is that it would naturally go on the fish. But that's what you want to end up with, a sole that's got flour on it, but not a lot. So the next phase is frying.
I'll start off by putting a splash of oil in my pan before adding a knob of butter. Once it's nice and hot, it's time to fry the fish.
This will take about 7 to 10 minutes to cook, but you do need to keep an eye on it because I want a nice, lovely, light brown finish on the sole.
After about 4 minutes, turn it over.
If you haven't got a big enough pan, you can always just cut the head off there, just so it fits in more easily.
Once the fish is cooked, you can move on to the sauce, a beurre noisette.
Beurre noisette is nut brown butter, so I am turning the heat up a little bit, just to get some nuttiness out of the butter.
While the butter heats up, chop some parsley.
Good. See, it's got a nice sort of nut brown colour. Lemon juice, capers, shake it all about. Smelling gorgeous. Parsley. Instant sauce over the fish. And there you have it, Dover sole à la meuniere.
I'm going to serve it with a nice, crisp Sauvignon Blanc.
So this should be fun, the tasting. I'm just going to try a bit now. It's firm, it's sweet, it's precious. I love a sauté potato with a piece of Dover sole and some Swiss chard. Keep the vegetables simple because it's such a fantastic fish. Lovely. It is the king or queen of fish. I'll drink to that.
We may cook many French-inspired dishes here in the UK today, but none are quite as adored as the fish dish we're famous for.
Oh, thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
We've been indulging in fish and chips since the early 1860s, when the first shops opened in East London and near Manchester, and we haven't looked back. These days, almost a quarter of us visit the chippy once a week, but it's not very often we get to enjoy them in such magnificent surroundings.
Well, I must say, looking at life's simple pleasures which can't be beaten, this is one of them. Eating chips on these steps, looking out over the bay here at Margate. And they're very good chips they are too. Now, we all think of fish and chips as being very British, but like most things in food, it's never quite exactly as you think. Fried fish first came into Britain, I think, in the 15th century from Portugal. Jews living in Portugal developed a way of frying fish in oil in a rudimentary batter made with flour. And I think the most interesting thing to me, though, is the point of fish and chips in Industrial Revolution Britain. It was due to the development of steam power and big, powerful steam trawlers, which got loads of white fish out of the North Sea, cod in particular, and produced very, very cheap protein. And food and cheap protein, and in the Industrial Revolution, very important, because you needed to feed the workers with nutritious things like fish and chips to keep them working hard. So interesting the way that quite often food drives history. And also so interesting how good these chips are, and there's no seagulls.
If you'd like to see more episodes of Rick Steins' food stories, press the red button now to watch on BBC iPlayer. Next time...
I think Glasgow's full of people producing food they love. You could live on this.
Yeah.
In the 70s, you had to go to chemists to buy olive oil.
I remember.
You know, and look how far we've come since then.
It takes the sort of stress out of cooking in front of a television camera. Having Jack doing most of the work.
Everybody is so willing to try things in Glasgow.
And it's like the best chocolate I've ever tasted.
Thank you, Rick.